This guy is raring to go, okay? So before he starts, I'd at least like to introduce him. Come on over. All right, so this smooth operator, as he likes to be known, is actually D'Antonio Wilson. D'Antonio is from the Baton Rouge, Greater New Orleans area, where he worked in the oil and gas industry for about 25 years, specializing in petrochemicals. After Hurricane Katrina, he relocated to the Texas area, where it was a blessing in disguise. He went on to found DMW Services, LLC in 2014, and now he is a national transportation carrier specializing in transporting manufactured chemicals. He owns a large fleet and is known as an industry-leading expert in telling people how to get from where they are to where they're trying to be. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce to you D'Antonio Wilson.
Thank you, I'm D'Antonio Wilson, and we'll be talking today about the trucking business, and I'll tell you somewhat how I got started, how I grew my business, and some of the pitfalls that happened along the way. I know this says you and your business, but I heard some of you speak, and I thought it would be a good idea to somewhat tell you my background of some of my pitfalls in the beginning, so you won't get discouraged before I start talking about making money and growth and things of that nature. My first truck, I was a driver. We relocated with Hurricane Katrina. Didn't have much, and we were in a little modest apartment, and I decided to start a trucking, buy a truck. I had no idea about a trucking business. I bought my first truck, began making big money. My first time making that kind of money at that rate of speed. I came in at the height of the industry. It was going real well. Was in New Mexico one time, and it was snowing. I had an accident. The truck was repairable, but it was down for 3 months. Didn't have 3 months of revenue saved up to cover me. Didn't have an extra truck, didn't have a plan, and I had just purchased a home. And so talking about stress, and those brought into question my dependability as a father and provider of my family. Also, it brought into question my business acumen. So I began to think about me and my business. So that's what we want to discuss in this section, you and your business. I heard some of you speak. Some say that they want to grow their business for generational wealth. Some also spoke about just getting started in the industry, go-getter. So we have some that are established and some that are just getting started. But wherever you are, you have to start thinking about the end game. The end game is it going to grow to pass it on? Or are you going to grow to sell it? Once I hit this number, then I'm going to sell it. Is it going to grow to fail? I'm going to just go out there and give it my best shot. And if it doesn't work, then hey, it doesn't work. But you might end up in bankruptcy. Go that route. When growing to pass on. The growth to pass, this is my first time speaking, so please forgive me. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. To grow your business to pass it on to your family or your relatives or your children, first you got to know if they even want it. Because you would do something and then they might not even want the business. And also it takes a certain type of mindset, a certain type of growth when you talk about scale, moving from one truck to multiple trucks, to being able to service something that can be passed on. Growing to sell, meaning that you have to have a certain number of accounts, something that is tangible, and also something that someone else would see value in. Most people don't see value in just trucks. A trucking trailer is nothing without the account that's attached to it. Grow to fail. Growing to fail, I'm gonna get all I can, all the money I can out of it. I'm gonna take it and go buy this or go buy that, buy me a summer house somewhere, and then the rest I can auction it off. is there an opportunity to grow? Many talked about fuel prices today. I heard some talk about the downside, but in my eyes, there's plenty of opportunity to grow in the trucking business. No one talked about box truck. No one drives a box truck here? Okay, no hot shot. I thought we had that when I read the statistics that we had a few people that drove hot shot trucks.
They still do work.
Okay. Is there an opportunity? I found my opportunity, and I'll tell you exactly how I found my opportunity. I was driving for a carrier that had a contract with a large chemical manufacturer, and they would have runs over the weekend that nobody wanted. And they would have premiums on those runs that nobody wanted. And so I began to speak with them about taking those runs, and then they say, well, sure, you can have as many as you want. Bing, that's when it hit, that there was an opportunity for me to grow from one to multiple trucks. But where do I get the money? How's my credit? How's your credit? We're talking about you and your business. We have to be, luck follows those who are prepared. So I would encourage you to take that note down. How's my credit? How's my financial standing? How much money am I willing to risk or put in this business? I told you how to identify it. They have multiple runs that nobody wanted at a premium, and they were willing to pay a premium rate because they couldn't get them out the door. And I give you another, I found a friend of mine that was looking to buy another truck. And he had an old truck that he was driving, and I purchased his truck for cash. And I had some history on the truck because he was driving. And so I was able to purchase that truck, and how do I get my first drive? And this is through conversation. Another friend, and if you ever been in a trucking industry, truck driver's house, we all talk on the phone all day long. He's telling me about a cousin who drives for Snyder, and he wants to be home more. And they're not paying him. I think he might have been making $300 or $400. I said, man, tell him I can get him $1,500. He called me. Got my first drive. So now I began to run those loads opposite. When I'm going up, he's coming back. When I'm going up, he's coming back. And we did that for about 2 months. And then I decided, hey, let me buy another truck. Bought my third truck. So once I got to my third truck, now I can start negotiating with the shipper as far as more preferred routes, more preferred pickup times, more preferred deliveries. Now, also what I want to tell you with identifying your opportunity, the opportunity has to work for you. Some of you may feel like you don't want to work on the weekends. Some of you feel you don't want to go out of state. I chose to take that opportunity that was available at that time. That's what it says, will you be ready when opportunity knocks? Making money moves. Once I got to the third truck, I went to the bank to get financing to grow my business. But the whole time that I was moving, that past year with buying trucks and running those routes, didn't have my LLC set up. Didn't have a business banking account. Didn't have a DMB, Duns and Bradstreet. And also I didn't have any numbers, no profit and loss, no balance sheet. So I had to go back and start structuring my business. How many of you already have your LLC, your business banking name and your business account, your balance sheets and your profit and loss? Balance sheet and profit and loss. Okay. So that sent me back to the drawing board. And so once I began to track my numbers, I somewhat began to see the inefficiencies in my operation. How many of you know your cost per mile? What does it cost for you to move if you just sit and she knows her cost per mile? Good, good, good. Because without knowing your actual numbers, you don't know if it's even feasible for you to grow or not. If what that guy told me was an accurate number. At that time, I just got lucky and went for it. But now I know better. When you get the money, what do you do with it? You know, if we all set out to say, let's go North Dallas, Plano, such and such place. Some of us are going to put in that Google map. Some of us are going to say, I know where that's at. But over time, we've learned that some places that we thought we knew, we didn't know the most efficient way to get there until we put in that Google map, right? And that Google map gave us a clear idea and picture and gave us a time, right? Let's talk about having a plan for your money. Do you have a plan for your money? When you get your money, is it allocated to go this place, that place, and that place concerning your business? Okay, we do, okay, that's good. Because with that, what we can do, we can begin to forecast and plan when we can and can't buy another truck, make expensive repairs, and also if we can afford to hire someone else. Do we know what the market is as far as what drivers are willing to take and pay? No? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah. Okay, good. How do I finance my growth? Me, I like the bank. I use the bank. I prefer lower interest, fixed terms. I do have a line of credit that I use from time to time. And I also set up escrow accounts on each of the trucks. Not just the escrow account that I pull out of for all of the trucks, because I need to know that particular truck and how it's affecting my business and that's knowing your numbers on each unit. Because once it hits a certain threshold where it's not, I'm putting too much money in it, what I'm getting out of it, it's time to liquidate it and sell it. Equipment. All trucking equipment is different. Some equipment is used for flatbeds. Some is used for, as I said, box trucks. Some are used for heavy hauling equipment. Earlier, you heard me talk about hauling hazmat. I skipped over that. That's more of a specialized industry, hazmat chemicals. It's very difficult to grow as a common carrier because you have to compete with others that are common and negotiating on price. And there's a lot of competition in that area. So I chose to move in the arena that was a little bit less competition, a little bit more stable, a little bit more room for me to grow. You have to decide whether you want to finance or cash purchase your equipment. My first 3, I cashed out on those because, as I told you at that time, I did not have a relationship with the bank. And after getting those to the point to where I could show cash flow with my company, then they were a little bit more lenient in order to give you favorable returns on purchasing multiple equipment at one time. We spoke about knowing the numbers. Your customers are your bread and butter. Most of you talked about the load board, right? Most of operating on the load board. Any of you operating with in-house carriers as a preferred in-house carrier?
Preferred brokers with certain companies with dedicated freight.
Okay, preferred brokers with companies with dedicated freight. That's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get on the inside, not be on the outside. Most companies will foster that relationship with their broker, and if they feel that it's something feasible that they want to do full-time, they'll make an approach to go to that customer as a preferred carrier. But most shipping warehouses will not take you on as a primary carrier unless you have a certain amount of trucks and they feel that you can handle a certain amount of volume. That's why I always tell people to partner with a company that has a relationship with an in-house carrier first as an individual in order to scale your business. That's the way I did it. I did not go in there as an independent carrier. I went in there as a driver with a carrier that had a relationship with the customer. And from there, I began to scale my own business within their structure. So when I hit my truck limit, now I'm able to go to carriers or shippers as a carrier myself and then get their business, but never leaving my core customers. My business isn't designed to go from one to the other. I'm trying to keep, customers that I get, I'm trying to service them throughout and then just gain more customers. Picking your best approach. My approach was finding a need that they had. They couldn't get those loads out there over the weekend and was willing to pay a premium to do it. He said, you can have as many as you want. That was my approach. You talked about having the dedicated lanes. I mostly like to run the East Coast and the Midwest. Not only for myself, that's also for my drivers. I'm able to get them up and back home for the weekend. Why? Because nobody wants to work on the weekend, and also to reset that 34-hour clock so we can get back to work on Monday. But as I told you, we specialize in doing weekend and also holiday runs. So how do I get them to do that? I rotate it. They all don't run every week. They all don't run every holiday. And we all have families or whatnot. Someone may have a game that they want to see. Some may have a birthday. And so we work that out among I would say, anybody got any questions so far?
When you say you had first was working for the other carrier as a driver, were you just a driver or were you leased onto the authority?
I was leased on to an agent. She's an agent. She's an agent that had a relationship with the shipper. So some of you talk about being a dispatcher. It's very good value on being a dispatcher. You have access to trucks. And you have, so you as a dispatcher, you may have 10, 15 guys, right? You got enough to get into the door. All you have to do is organize your drivers into say, hey, I got a shipper that's willing to give us such and such, such and such. And now you in the door as an agent. And so now you've grown your business. You get, not only are you getting the dispatch percentage from your drivers, now you're able to get a more favorable share of the load and also have dedicated freight. Now you're not getting up, jumping on the computer, looking on these different load boards, trying to find loads. They already send the loads out weeks or sometimes 2 weeks in advance. They know how they're going to ship. And that's when you can get down to planning. And also we can talk about scale from there. Okay. Any more questions? The load board. The load board is mainly loads that overflow from shippers that they can't handle with their primary carriers. And sometimes they're hot, they're willing to pay exorbitant fees for them. And sometimes, as we're going into a downtime, the load board may not be popping like it used to, right? but your monthly payments and your mortgage, that doesn't change. That doesn't change. So that's why I always encourage people to look for consistency and long-term ideas versus just what's hot today and possibly cold tomorrow. Retaining your customer. I feel like I'm going too fast because I'm getting a little bit into customers, and some of you haven't even started driving yet. So what would I do if I was go-getter? If I was go-getter, first, I would decide how much money I really want to make. Now, you don't know what's possible until you talk to someone that's actually doing it. Because the first person you may talk to say, hey, I make $2,000 a week. You may talk to another brother and say, hey, you know, I do 35, 4,000. You know, but what did they have to do to get that? And then that will determine where you want to be. Do you want to run long? Do you want to run short? Do you want to be going home for the weekends? Or do you want to be at every game and event that they have? Yeah, go ahead.
Since I've been having my CDL about a month now, I haven't been in the game, but my dad has, and he was driving for UPS before he got disabled about 2 years ago. Now I'm that one that's willing to step out and be like, hey, I want to do my own thing instead of working for a company all my life. That makes sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense, but I would encourage you to start.
Yes, sir. That's the
with the company first, just to see if that's what you want, because sometimes getting out there by yourself can break.
Because right now,
disappoint you.
Right now I'm a yard dog driver for Union Pacific, but we're contractors. Contracting company is called PRS, which is Petrochemical Services.
Okay.
So, we jockey those containers around
At the rail.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I started off with containers. Yes, sir. Now, with that being said, that tells you where you can start and where you can be. I started pulling containers in 2006. You know, we took about 15, 17 years ago. You know, and so it won't have to take you that long.
Because we're not supposed to, but we got cameras in the truck, but I always stop and be like, hey, how much you run for this? Or I'm always asking outside drivers. I done got in trouble a couple of times, but I'm like, man, I see I'm not gonna be here long, so I'm gonna ask questions all the time.
Yes. Getting in the intermodal as a young man with a young lady, you know, isn't a bad move to begin with, because it offers you some stability. They don't really work weekends. Yeah. And the time is somewhat, they're still 12-hour days. But if you start early, you can finish early. Yes. And that'll kind of give you an idea, if you like that type of trucking and hustling, but then you can graduate.
That's why I said I'm still trying to figure out what side I want to get into. I have a cousin who hauls cars, and I went and helped him out a week ago, and I kind of like that deal too. So I'm just trying to figure out which route.
Specialization. That's specialization. That's good. That's good as well. It's stability in cars. A lot of cars come to Dallas. Cars originate on the East Coast.
I know you got. Can you drive it? Like, you got a license for a whole month, right? How much, for the people who've been around for a long time, just how long you've been in the game affect your ability to be able to get customers, to be able to get contracts, to be able to go what's going on, or does it not matter? I was wondering from somebody who's been around for a long time.
I was just about to say, just at a young age, like, they try it all. Because I did freight for Home Depot. So, and again, I talked to everybody I came in contact with. I didn't be a stranger at the truck stop. So, you want to talk to people and see what, like he's saying, I see what he's saying, but you want to see where I fit in. Because I changed my whole career. I did my career in law enforcement. I'm driving 18 wheels. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I want to get in that truck and drive.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers the question. Because if you only got your license for 30 days, what's the likelihood of a company giving you a truck to go out on the road so quickly? That's my question.
They're not.
Most of them won't. That's why I encourage them to start with someone.
Which I'm I have good contact with the union steward at UPS, which him and my dad were real close. And I asked him the same thing. I said, man, I've been out of school for about a month. How are we gonna do that? And y'all are a big company. I know y'all don't hire, new drivers off the bat, which he told me what he worked out with his bosses. So I'm trusting and believing it'll work out.
Yeah, I'll get your number after. I'll try to find, give you some options. Stone?
I was gonna say, with you starting out, are you specifically doing 18 wheeler? Or are you driving a smaller, like box truck?
My goal is kind of start off in the hot shot game
So
and work my way up to the bigger truck. And then eventually, how you did, buy more trucks, hire people to drive for you, which I would still like to drive on my own, just the type of person I am. I don't like to just sit and look at a computer all day. if
because
that
he
makes
can
sense.
do intermodal with a F-250 or 350.
Right, but what I wanted to get everybody to understand is what he said, I want to get in and grow, and sometimes that's difficult when you just jump out there by yourself. That's why I first talked about getting with somebody small, something that you can handle and get to understanding the business, how it goes, pickups and deliveries, trucks, how that works, because that's a different monster.
Yeah.
And then we can start saying, okay, I want to start beginning to specialize in this and moving in that direction. And it has a growth and versus something that's just somewhat horizontal.
Yes, sir.
Working with in-house preferred carriers, we went over that. That's my bread and butter. Why? Because right now, when you talk about get fuel prices, in-house carriers provide fuel surcharges.
That's right.
So I'm not really sweating fuel prices right now. They are higher, but the rates have been compensating it for the rising cost of fuel, because these people still have to get their stuff moved. And they know we have operational costs. But if you're out there with the broke on the load board, that ain't their problem. Right? And what happens when you start getting more trucks and less loads? It depresses prices. And also another thing, I talked about knowing your numbers, operational costs. Has anybody operational costs been going up?
Yes.
Tires been going up. Prices of equipment has been going up. Also, parts and downtime, supply chain. Everything.
Or you can get in the parts online.
But how do you try to hedge against the uncertainty? It's to find something that's steady and moving all the time. People say groceries. That's a tough business. It really is. The ones that I know are successful at it are more specialized. They do LTL, refrigerated type, and they have somewhat of their own customers. But just grocery house, sitting all day, it's very,
Stop the wait long.
it's very challenging. If the money you make, you thought going there, it seems like you give it all back sitting and wait. And before you know it, the week is over. So you have to think in terms of volume versus price. Because if I move a load, say if I take a load from California to here, and sometimes what they maybe $4 or $5 a mile, it's about 1,500 miles from different parts of California. Well, that may seem like a lot of money when I get back here, but then what do I have next after that? Versus having a steady flow of trucks moving all the time. And I don't want to keep throwing out steady numbers of trucks. This guy running containers. You can have you and a buddy just going back and forth. There's volume in containers if you really know how to do it. So you also always have to think volume versus just one move at a time, and that comes with planning.
You gotta realize too, in this setting today, we're talking about two different things. We're talking about somebody who owns, a business owner with an authority and expenses. Vice a driver who's getting in a truck and going, from point A to point B, and they ain't got nothing to worry about. At the end of the day, that guy who has that authority, who's, when the driver gets out, he's looking at, well, dang, they paid him $4,000 for this run, and he don't pay me $1,500. Well, I paid for the fuel, I paid for the tire.
He really getting off good.
Yeah.
He's really getting off good.
Absolutely.
But he's also getting a chance to watch the potential
Right.
that's in the business. And also, hopefully he's saving this money. He can one time venture out on his own. I've had guys that have worked for me that went out and bought their own trucks. I think it's value in that because I never want to hold you back.
With the hazmat loads, are you doing like hauling the totes, or is it the?
So we do a lot of work for oil and gas companies. So they're in totes and they're also maybe in drums. And we really go to their sites. So it's basically in-house work, and most times we haul their freight back to its origin.
Okay, so is it like if they put them in the dry van?
Yes, it's packaged chemicals in dry bags. And some customers that we do haul chemicals that are temperature sensitive. So we have reefers as well, but they mainly for chemical use, and we can't really put food in for the chemicals that we use. And
On flatbed, you haul any hazmat stuff on flatbed?
no, sir. No, sir. Just and actually, within the customer, the reefer was something else that they were doing, and we approached them and said, "Hey, we can do some of your reefer work as well." So when you get in your within the customer, you find other services that they may need to where you can grow your brand within that customer. They also may need, they may want to preload it. So you may have the opportunity to drop trailers. And what do the drop trailers do? It gives my drivers more time at home. They don't have to sit at the dock, and it's really just pick and go. Marketing and, you had another question?
Yeah, sorry, if you asked.
No, sir.
Now for your drivers, because they have to be hazmat certified.
Yes, they do.
So how many years of experience, and then, I don't want to get into your financial business or anything like that, but like how much is it for, just like say for one driver a month?
Good question. We share the insurance with the broader carrier. So it's not like I'm in the hole with these, this liability and collision that they have coming out. Talking to one guy, his insurance premium doubled. And it changed the concept of his business. And he said he was getting out of it, selling the trucks. And what is that for me? Opportunity. Opportunity.
The average guy doesn't know that. If you're in the hot shot business, and when I say hot shot, I'm not talking about box trucks. I'm talking about a F-250, 350 pulling 40 for a gooseneck. That's getting on with Progressive right from the beginning, if you will. And Progressive goes ahead and gives you that doggone expensive policy in the first place, and then you turn around and want to add another one to it. Through the roof. If you get ready to add the third one, then they probably are not going to do it because they say you're growing your company too fast.
It's difficult for one person to shoulder all of those expenses at one time. So that's why I easily identified it was better to be partnered with other people that had money versus just trying to burn up all of my money. Marketing.
I'm sorry.
So would you be against, what do I do?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, there's opportunity. You can scale with Hot Shot. I know companies that have, just like I told you, they have in-house work, and you can get with those companies and still do what I just did with the box bag. Share some of the costs as far as insurance, give fuel surcharges, and then be able to negotiate lanes. Not just one. Everybody know what a lane is? Everybody know what a lane is? Okay. So we talking to some drivers. How do you guys plan your lane? Stone.
I run Monday through Friday, Dallas, Fort Worth towards Texarkana round trip, and my drivers are off on the weekend. They're home daily.
Okay.
So that's my pitch. We run Monday through Friday. We're here. Got the freight, we can do the Saturday unless it's an emergency. I try to give them time with the family.
Okay. Good. Yeah. In-house with the carrier in-house. Okay, keep going back and forth. Of course, the county has Home Depot. I think Ace Hardware. Somebody's down there. True Value is one of those. Someone else? Chameleon? Thought you had something you wanted to say.
No, we flipping over from trucking to a CDL school, so that's what we flipping to.
Servicing in the industry.
Because it's fewer drivers, like, it's more loads than drivers, so that's, we went through probably like, within our first year when we started, we went through like 3 drivers, including the family member, which is bad. Don't never go into business with family. Oh, okay, I ain't gonna talk about that. But that's how we started, and we ran through drivers, and we seen that there was a shortage on drivers. And the shortage, come from a lot of drivers getting their own vehicles, you know what I'm saying? And that takes a lot out the pool. And it was just there was a lot of quality drivers that you can find. I mean, it's hard. So we were like, okay, let's open up the street. And then with them changing the rules now, it made it, it kind of opened the door for us.
I heard that workers' comp is gonna pay the school, yeah.
Yes, we get it, pay up to our next work. We get,
Texas work.
Yeah, Texas work.
yes.
I heard Walmart was paying.
Yeah.
Anybody over 18, Walmart trying to pay. Y'all heard, that's true?
Yes.
I wish I would put out $1,000 in the truck that cost $1,000 for some 18-year-old. Watch TikTok.
I'm not
Why
quite
they
sure that 18-year-olds just yet. I think they should start like with the box trucks and then move their way up to the Class A. But, I think it should be a staggered approach.
It should be.
But I didn't make that up though. That is a real
No,
thing,
it's
right?
real.
It's real.
Like, I'm not telling you industry. I saw it on the news.
How are we finding and marketing to potential drivers? My man said family member. I started with a guy, a friend of mine's cousin. But he turned out to be good.
Yeah.
So that wasn't bad. We have a lot of people coming in the industry, never been inside of a truck. Social media. We post ads, Craigslist. We do use Indeed. There are recruiting services out there that will give you access to their database as far as drivers and give you potential leads on drivers. But it's still difficult. I try to offer drivers incentives. You heard Stone say, she offers home daily, I think, and off on the weekends. That's a good incentive. To some drivers, most people want to be home and local. But I choose to target a different driver, mostly former company drivers, because they've never made that kind of money before. Also, 5 or 6 days is better than 3 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever they were running before. How do I retain those guys? By treating them like I want to be treated. I was a driver, so I understand the complexities, of it. Also, giving them room to grow, never trying to keep them just as a driver. Hoping one day that they will pass through me, and that is word of mouth. We get them to talk about me to somebody else because I'm a small carrier, even though Ms. Lewis talked very highly of me. Still, word of mouth. You know, and if you have a good relationship with your drivers, and they'll speak highly of you, and people will call you for a job. Just like I'm gonna work with my man here. Competitors. Ooh, competition. Anybody know anything about competition? Competing with other carriers for what you have? Someone come, I had a friend of mine, he had a contract with a bottle in Dallas. And all he did was run back and forth to the bottle, made money for years. And I mean, he had trailers on both ends, bought him a yard. He was beginning to grow his business further because by having a yard, you can have an in-house mechanic, charge other people for parking on his yard, you know, but he was underbid by another carrier. And that pushed him out back on the open market. He will now get to try to go on the low board. Drivers begin to find another more stable job. Operational costs went up, insurance costs went up, and before you know it, he began to liquidate his business.
Yeah, if you use the contract, that works. I seen it happen. I was managing for this company and they lost a big contract with HelloFresh. And I was managing trucks and it went from that to down because they thought they had another big contract. But they had a big contract, but it wasn't big as HelloFresh. And it ruined.
You can't, you beat out your competitors by doing the best job that you can at the price that you have set. I don't like to get into lowering my rates in order to stay on with a carrier because, you know, they'll do it and do it and do it until there's no money to be made. So I feel a certain type of way about my service. I try to maintain my price point, but also I try to over deliver to my customers. But my hedge against that, if I were to lose my account, is not being so heavily vested, meaning over my head. I told you most of my trucks are paid for. I have a balance that I keep between the type of debt that I run versus the cash that I have on hand. So if I did have to liquidate, I wouldn't do it at a loss. Also, finding other avenues besides my main customer. I also have a intermodal company that I work with that we do local runs as well. That's my hedge against if I was to lose out on my main customer. Benefits. The benefits that you offer your drivers, most of us are LLC companies. We can't offer, you know, no paid medical or things, you know, of that nature. So what benefit are you going to offer someone when you can't compete with the larger companies?
I offer mine Aflac. They can get dental, life, and I provide the accidental for them. And if they
Good,
want to
good.
pay for short-term disability, I take it out of the check.
Good. Was you the one that was an RN?
Yes.
See, see, she knew a little bit about that. Yes. Good. Anyone else? Is she the only one that has drivers? Oh, brother, I ain't heard from you all day. Yes. I don't know your name.
I'm at 401k. I'm not
Okay, so you have off your drivers 401k. How many drivers you? Three? Okay, what type of work?
like that hot shot.
Okay, good deal. You looking to grow your business
Yeah.
as
I
well,
also got owner operator too.
that you lease on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, sir, okay.
That's where the money is.
Yes, well, get somebody to help you with some of those operational costs that you may have. And also, they get the benefit,
I'm waiting for you.
they get the benefit of being somewhat independent.
Question I have, what would be your view on 3PLs who offer both dedicated and broker freight?
We do some work for them. You mean like a Southeastern Freight or something like that? Yeah, we do. We work with one of those out of New York, Rochester. Those are one of our shippers that we, when we go to Western New York, we move LTL freight back to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We may have 4 or 5 stops. The thing about LTL freight, it tends to pay a little bit better because we get the different stop pay.
And the reason I bring it up is because my prior life was 3PL logistics. I actually managed freight from both the customer as well as the operator.
Yeah.
And I know 3PLs have the ability to go out and negotiate freight with their customers. And as a owner operator, you can bid on their lanes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can bid on lanes that you can service easily, but you can also take advantage of their broker freight. So you're not shopping for freight every day. You have negotiated freight, but you can still get broker freight as well. So
Fair,
there
that's,
may be an opportunity to go out and find out who these 3PLs are, to become one of their preferred carriers. And then when they have bids, you bid it on their freight that they've already won.
FedEx Ground. That's a perfect example. Most FedEx Ground trucks that you see, even though they all white, if you look at the side of the door, they're all different names on them. Those are fleet owners. And some of them, as he said, they have lanes. You talking about growing a sale, some of those guys just sell their lanes. They have the numbers on the lane, this lane generates so many $1 million a year. And this is how many millions that I want for it.
Yeah, it's a website, I think it's called sellyourbiz.com.
Correct,
And you go
correct.
on there and they sell all kind of lanes and routes and everything. Even companies sometimes put their companies for sale on that too.
That goes back to my original, is partnering with somewhat of a larger carrier that you can grow within, that can share some of those costs with you. And now you have something to leverage that you can take to the bank and show profitability, and also that you can sell to someone else in the end. Thank you.
Just one more insight. An opportunity, as you spoke of earlier, is to go after these 3PLs during the holiday season. They have negotiated carriers to move their freight typically, but many of these carriers will go up to the Northwest and Midwest to run Christmas trees. Christmas trees pays a lot of money per lane. Well, the carriers that they would normally offer freight to on a regular basis, they don't want it because they're chasing Christmas trees. But they still have freight that needs to move. So during the Christmas holiday season, Thanksgiving, really beginning around October, it's good to call on those guys because they're looking for carriers that can move freight. Because their normal carriers have gone to move Christmas trees.
You have a question over there, sir? I feel my camera blocked.
Oh, back to what you said on the FedEx deal. I see a lot of T-Force trucks now hauling UPS freight. So is that kind of correlating what you were talking about?
Yeah, UPS does the same thing. UPS is another established carrier that has in-house freight of their own, dedicated lanes. A single operator can enter and then begin to scale, and as he says, bargain for particular lanes and bid on those lanes and begin to own those lanes and then possibly sell them in the future. Yes.
I know you only have about 5 minutes stuff, but I have a question. Like I did that. Okay, so just ask, because I don't know a whole bunch about the transportation industry at all, but I see a lot of people who say, man, if I had 5 trucks, I could get this country. So they trying to get more trucks. Not realizing that if you do all this, all those drivers, if something happens, like I said, with the country, what you gonna do? So is there, just seems like there's a lot for everybody. You just said you can't find enough drivers. is it a bad thing for me to be like, I got 2 trucks, 2 drivers, you got 2 trucks, 2 drivers, let's try to partner so we can capitalize off that? Because that person might be shady or
Oh.
like, shit, I'm listening, I just want to know, because it seems like some people in here might, you run this way and I run this way. We can capitalize, I didn't do a background check first.
I heard it both ways.
Yeah.
You gotta do that back.
I heard it both ways. You ever seen, you're not familiar with Empire Truck Lines in Dallas? They do all the Home Depots in the state. Started off with 4 people that had that idea to get together and form one company, and now they do a lot of work across Texas. The guy I told you who had the business, the bottling company, going back and forth to Texas and bought the yard and in-house mechanic, his partner sued him. So I heard it both ways. So if I were to enter into a partnership with someone, they would have to bring something of value that I didn't have.
Exactly.
And I would have to offer them something of value that they didn't have. Right? I may have the trucks and the capital, but he may know how to bid on the lanes. Right? So now we have something that can both benefit one another. That would be my approach, just based on my experience. A lot of the stuff we do is based on our experience and how we feel about it. We didn't get to the quick. I gotta do it quick.
Go ahead, next up.
Because if you can't keep your truck running, you ain't gonna have no contract. Developing a maintenance program and also having escrow accounts for your trucks. If your trucks are always moving, it's gonna be difficult to service them properly. So they have to be in a rotation where they're scheduled downtime, and also we have to know trucks as an equipment, meaning that the preventive maintenance. I don't want to change my brakes once I get flagged on my watch. I don't want to overhaul my engine when it leaves me on the side of the road with my customers freight. That makes me look inadequate as a business owner. I should have had foresight and saw that and said, this scheduled interval, I'm gonna take this truck out of service. Initially, I'm saying that because initially I didn't do that. I was running forward, whatever I had, I was running. But it took something like that to happen for me to learn that I had to have something that was being serviced and ready to go if one of the other ones was the spare. I had to have a spare in order to keep up with my customer. What's a decent amount for a maintenance account on your truck? It varies. It used to be $10,000. It's about double that now. It's about $20,000. So if I have 5 trucks at $20,000, how much money to have saved in escrow?
Close to 100K.
$100,000.
I'm saving for a bit.
Anybody got $100,000? What did I tell you earlier that I had to develop a relationship with?
Bank.
Bank.
Do you thought about like each load, you pull a percentage that goes to how we used to do it, a certain amount goes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That, what do we talk about our money and our plan? Do you have a plan for your money when you get it? Do you say a certain amount goes here, a certain amount goes there? And that's based on each individual, on how they feel. I just tell you how I felt about my plan.
You know, a lot of times it's not necessarily about not only about the money, but it's about the time. Like you said, you have a spare truck, everybody ain't got a spare. You have one, and you gonna get the part in to fix that truck, you just sitting for a minute. You one breakdown away all the time from being out the game, completely out the game. One breakdown.
Not a solution, but a suggestion. for that. Partnering with a larger carrier, developing a relationship with these people, and they may help you in a situation if you're running low on cash. It took me years to build that maintenance account like that. That's why I say consistency over time. What I'm saying, I've been doing this 15, 16 years. You know, trying to get to the point that I am today. It can be done. I would love to see everyone do it. Stone, she spoke about having trucks. Now I can start developing a plan for not only owning, but also being able to recycle, sell and purchase trucks, keep new equipment on the road to meet customers' demands. That's going to take more money, which means I need to find either more customers or more access to capital. Yes.
I work for FedEx and I do paperwork, contracts and stuff, voice contracts. And sometimes when their equipment goes down, I feel it's like short-term leases, and they require in different companies. Have you ever done that?
No. They're too expensive.
Yes.
They're too expensive.
It depends on you. I mean, if you stepping out and you got some decent credit, and you get in the game, the best thing to do is lease it. So, you know, if it ever breaks down, they'll bring your truck, you know, right off the rip. And then you have, but Ryder, I mean, they always have problems, but, I would go with like, Penske. They're good.
Helper said she had the most, I listened to her comment. She said, I'm just a helper. All I do is take bills and write your support group. Who is your support team? Are you partnered with a shop and a mechanic? Do you have a CPA? Do you have a bookkeeper? I didn't even get into taxes. Do you have a tax strategist for all this money y'all make?
We need another class.
My support, I don't rely on Penske and these other places as my support because it's just not in my price range and it doesn't apply to my business model. Before I would do that, we would have to cut back on what we're doing and they would put it on a logo and somebody else will cover that particular lane. But I never try to get too far over what I can handle with always having that one truck in waiting and also beginning to buy other trucks. Any more questions? Because she's getting to the end and I really would like to.
Or they said, as long as they want afterwards for Q&A, so yeah.
We talked about a maintenance program, get into the details, understanding operational costs. Everybody's gonna find out cost per mile, right? Okay, what's your biggest cost on your cost per mile? What's your biggest cost of the driver? Fuel. What's your biggest fixed cost? Something. You don't have, right, you don't have a truck pay. How much time you got?
They have a limited time to really go next.
I feel like.
They got questions, I know. See, I'm not answering a couple questions before they go. All right, give me a break. All right, so I'm gonna let y'all ask all the questions you want, but I respect people's time to do it somewhere to go at 7. I wanna make sure they have a chance to leave. You'll get contact information today since the beginning. And when I said that, I mean it. May I have the quick, please?
Yes, ma'am.
So I do want you to ask questions, but I know you guys probably still have some of the same questions. Like he asked, you, what's your cost per mile? How many of you guys know that? Like honestly. You guys even know how to calculate that? And I say that because sometimes we get into the mode of doing things. We don't really know why we're doing, like how we do it. Or better yet, we know that that ain't our gift. You ever heard somebody say that's not my ministry? Or so we let somebody else do that, assuming they know what they're talking about. but we don't even know how to inspect what we expect. We think they can do our books. And I'll tell you why I think this funny, and then y'all have all seen this. Y'all all went to school with somebody who was cheating off your paper in school, and now they doing taxes, am I right? Okay, you gotta go, you can't see none of my, you might steal my information, okay? But yeah, we'll walk into a CPA's office, somebody and get them our books. We don't even know where our receipts is. We don't even know what all it is, how they figured it out, but we just trust them, right? So the reason we're stopping from doing these talks the way we're doing them now, where they're just industry specific, is because we realize we're doing, not necessarily doing you a disservice. Some of you got something, y'all left at least with one thing out of what he talked about, okay? But y'all still, I bet if I ask some questions about running a business, you can tell me how to run a truck all day long. You can talk about all kind of hitches and get-alongs. But can you tell me about the business? All of y'all came wanting to grow your business. Yes, you need to know about buying trucks, and you need to about maintaining them and getting drivers. But you also need to know how to make that money work, am I right? So what's happening is, and we're gonna come back to this, don't worry. Okay, what's gonna happen is, I wanna tell you about this series, okay, before he talks about your to-go homework, all right? The two people that she was talking about earlier, they wanna see this have life. So what we've done is we've assembled a panel of experts who are going to come in, and every month, two of them are gonna speak about things that every business needs. It's not gonna be specific to trucking, but it's gonna be specific to your business, because your business is gonna have these needs. So as you can see, we started off with the restaurant. Today we're doing Let's Get Trucking. But the next thing we're gonna talk about is using the media for your business. Okay? How many of you guys right now have a social media presence? Okay? Now, if I ask you how many followers you have, what would you tell me?
I don't really.
Okay? If you can tell me you have 5,000, I can tell you have a personal page and not a business page, which means it's already limiting your growth. Okay? So we've got a guy who's gonna come in and tell you how to increase that, how to use LinkedIn, how to get these companies to recognize who you are, because it's not just the companies, it's the drivers too that are looking for people. Okay? So it's not always, well, I need to publicize my business for you, publicizing your brand. Okay? Then this young lady, I know she's cute. She's gonna teach you how to get set up for success. What are your business tools and resources? We look alike, that's not my twin, that's me. All right? And I'm gonna come in and tell you that if you're trying to get my business and your email is in Gmail, I can't help you. Okay? What are you using for your account? How are you keeping up with your expenses? What are you doing in your day-to-day operations to keep things in order? How are you invoicing people? How are you tracking this? How are you paying folks? What systems are you using? Because if you don't have that together and you still putting out receipts and you write paper and all this, your bank accounts all in one, it's hard, okay, for you to run a business like that. Y'all all heard when they was giving out this free PPP loan. Everybody's trying to get some money, but a lot of people missed out. You know why? They weren't a real business. Y'all heard this man say, how long was he in the game and wasn't even an LLC? He took an LL on this thing. All right. So we got to get you going with that. Then we're going to talk about customer service. He talked about how he got customers. And what did he say? He talked to them. He went there and listened to what they need. He did what other people didn't want to do so he could grow. But sometimes we think we the customer and we always right. Okay. So his guy's going to come in and he's going to talk about how he built a practice and increased his sales through effective customer service. Okay. But it's not going to stop there. We're going to keep going. Getting to know your numbers. Right now, somebody asked this question earlier, and I think 4 hands stayed up about if you had a profit and loss, a P&L, or if you had a balance sheet. Okay, nobody on this side of the room said that. They was looking over there like, what's that? Just kidding. All right, but this lady's gonna come in. She runs an accounting firm. She's gonna provide accounting one-on-one basis. The next gentleman's gonna come back and talk to you more about online marketing, about how you can get your stuff out there. Then we've got a young lady named Simone Key is gonna come and talk about branding is your foundation. All right, just like he was able to name different carriers and different groups, we want your name out there. Stone, what's the name of your company?
Exodus Pro Transport.
Exodus Pro Transport. Okay, y'all ever heard of Exodus before? Let's get Exodus on the map. Okay, it's a lot about your actions, a lot about what you do, but it's also about your brand. I see people all the time whose brands take off and ain't about nothing. Why? Because they branded it correctly. So just imagine if you put something behind it, you put that go-getting spirit, that Missy spirit, that chameleon spirit, that Katrina, I'm gonna call it Katrina, that hurricane spirit behind it, okay? You were destined to be great, all right? You just gotta put something with it, and she's gonna teach you how to do that. Then this gentleman right here, you have to stand up. Oh, I'm sorry. This gentleman right here is gonna come in, all right? This is my boy Josh. Y'all laughing at Josh. Josh may not be the tallest man in the room, but they're money long. You know why? Because he knows money matters. And he's gonna teach people about budget or bust. Okay? Consultant, runs multi-million-dollar companies, knows what he's doing, was a business advisor for Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small businesses, and now an alumni advisor. okay? He can tell you what you need to do, and a lot of times we don't have a budget. You just heard this man say you had to keep how much money per truck? And what did y'all hear me say? So I can't buy that Bentley? Cause you've been telling me I'm gonna just let $100,000 sit right there, and I ain't supposed to touch it. You know what kind of discipline it is? Okay, it's a lot of discipline. He's gonna tell you what to do with that. And then, you know, we all have this uncle. He is our favorite. He show up all the time, honey, bike. Y'all ever heard of Uncle Sam? Man, Uncle Sam will get you. This young lady right here is gonna help you learn how to keep your money and save hassle with tax strategies, which all of us need to know. All right, so this is a series. It's gonna go on twice a month. One's a lunch, one's a dinner every month, and they're different things. But we realize that we can tell you all the inside trade secrets, everything you need to know about transportation, okay? But if you don't know how to make money, then it don't make sense, all right? So we wanna see you back, not just to learn about trucking, but to learn about how to get your money right. But some of y'all probably have more money than you think you have. You probably could do more with it, but you don't even know where the money's going. So if we can help you get your finances in order, get your company branded and properly, that's what you're gonna need to move up. Otherwise, you're gonna run on up and get all these trucks, get all these drivers, and what's gonna happen? A fool and his money will do what? That's right, okay? So with that being said, that's all that I have for you guys. I wanna thank you guys for coming out, but I know you got questions. So the business presentation part of it is almost officially over, because I told you you got homework, okay? So I want him to go over this assignment and some things he wants you to do, all right? And then you can ask him any questions you want, all right? He off the clock now.
Let's see. So we have homework. Decide your end game. That's number one. Whether you're going to sell it, whether you're going to pass it on, or whether you have a fixed time that you're gonna get out of the business. Write it down. It makes a difference. Because when I started forecasting my numbers quarterly, it made me think different versus wait to the end of the year and saying, well, how much money do you have to contribute to your business? Or how much are you willing to contribute? Make a plan. As I told you initially, I didn't have a business plan. No one's gonna take you seriously giving you any type of money if you don't have a plan. Know when to ask for help. There are plenty of people out here that are willing to talk to you. SCORE. You haven't heard of SCORE in Dallas. It's a group of mentors that assist small businesses in helping them with some of those questions that they may have. Okay, the DCED speaker series. There were 3 things that I stressed in our conversation. That was one, partnering with a carrier, if you're a small carrier, that can help you grow vertically. Also, 2, beginning to know your numbers and set a plan and a budget for your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know how big or small you can grow or how long you're gonna be in business. It wasn't until I got into Goldman Sachs program that they said you have a certain amount of time that if you wasn't making any money in your business, how many days could your business stay open? And if you can only be open 10 to 15 days without making any money, you ain't go. Because it's very possible. Now, I would like 3 months. That if I didn't do anything for 3 months, I would be able to cover my expenses at home and also those fixed costs of my business. What if I lose a customer, gotta go find another? They may not put me on that next month. It may take time. You guys got, that's my name, my LinkedIn. I think you got my LinkedIn, my contact information, email. Any questions that you guys have?
And that's his name that you would put on the very top of the survey. So right underneath the notes paper, there's a survey you'd like me to take. You can do it anonymously if you would like. He's never going to see the results. They just go to me. But your speaker's name is D'Antonio Wilson. We want some feedback. It's not necessarily, oh, we said that before you leave, that you fill out the survey and turn it into your way out.
What's your, how much you wanna make per year? Is it, anybody got a number? Is it 5 million? Is it $1 million? It's $1 million? 5 million? how much money you gotta make in 6 months in sales to hit a 5 million, 2.5 million, right? Am I making enough calls as a dispatch? Do I have enough trucks? Hit 2.5, you have enough trucks to 2.5 million in sales. But that's how you have to think, because if I'm just doing what comes to me, then my mind isn't programmed for 2.5 million in sales in 6 months, 5 million in sales annually. Now I gotta start breaking that down 6 months, then also in 3-month quarters. That's how you wanna judge, begin to judge yourself in quarters. Because everything has seasonal, you heard them talk about certain Kanye Hall Christmas trees. Might be an uptick in the holiday season, school time, and freight. Beginning of the winter months after Christmas is usually a dead time.
I have a question. I'm sure you're gonna answer it. But oftentimes I hear that when I partner in with a bigger organization, they only give me the scraps, right? And I don't typically want to partner in with that bigger organization because they're gonna make all this money off my back. What do you feel of that?
No. I didn't feel that way, because I wasn't thinking as just one truck. I began to think as scale. Also, I thought about some of those costs that they were sharing with me, as far as that insurance cost, that fuel surcharge, that tire discount. You know how much tires are? You know how much you can save about, being in a group package we can purchase those tires with other individuals versus yourself. So you always have a partner. The bank make it. We all making money. And now what we don't want to do is put ourselves in a position where we being overcharged from bad credit, mismanagement, and lack of education. I know. I didn't know shop rates, mechanics. When I first got in business, mechanics used to take advantage. I didn't understand my costs. And so you may tell me a big number. I said, ooh, that sounds good. And get out there and do it and realize, because I didn't understand my costs. So those things are very important to understand. Your relationships with people. If everybody I'm looking at as them trying to take advantage of me, and I should be doing this on my own, then I'm gonna limit myself. Some of these people that I make money with give me not monetary gain, but information, and also access to their friends that can help prepare me for. So you always want to be a part of a network. I told you, every business opportunity I have with somebody I do. Listen, this guy, he wants to sell this truck. That's an opportunity. This guy has a cousin that wants to come off the road. That's an opportunity. This guy looking for someone to put him on because he only got one more opportunity, experience. That's an opportunity. She has access to all trucks, and drivers. She doesn't know she's sitting in a prime position. A lot of these companies want to partner with minorities, especially females. So she has an opportunity to step in and become an agent and get in with one of these major Walmarts or Procter & Gamble or whatnot. So I won't just limit myself to being a dispatch. That's a good place to start. But I will try to get in something with a major company versus just off the load board. Nobody wants to be on the load board. Right. Man.
To add to that, companies are looking for minorities. I went to a supply chain luncheon this past Tuesday. They have a quarterly, and they say that for minorities, we make up like less than 1% when it comes to like business, contracting with bigger companies. And just an example, AT&T spent $13 billion on transportation in 1 year. So, yeah, like they're saying that the numbers are crazy. So they are looking to partner with minority companies. But
Did
we
I
just
say my
have to-
first, did I tell y'all my first agent was a woman?
Especially women.
And
owned.
she was he didn't look something like her, but she was like this lady. Man, she had a mouth on her, boy, she would cuss. But you never know, and I never thought that someone would look like her would be the best blessing to me. So you can't never judge. Don't just limit yourself by what you think about someone.
But like how she was saying with AT&T, we need to get certified, you know, with the National Minority Center, or whatever. That's really gonna help us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And,
Because they ask that when you're filling out, when I'm filling out carrier package for loads and brokers, they ask that, is your business NMSD, whatever it is, certified, and you can click yes or no, whatever, or what certification agency you went through, because that's gonna tell the brokers or whatever, like, if they have those big accounts with AT&T and stuff, they can pull, it shows in their system, and they can pull you as a carrier and call for whatever data, you know, contracts and stuff that they have.
The SBA has a class
Yeah.
that shows you how to
Yeah.
get certified. You know, it's no excuse today, so much information.
You need to get certified through TechSide.
That's free.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I was just going back to the minority deal. I had a female instructor teach me how to drive a 10-speed truck when I was in school. So, kind of coolest lady. She like somebody cool, old country auntie. We sat up there, and I had a problem with the Hispanic that was teaching me. He only been driving. I figured out he had only been having his CDL for a year, and she had 14 years in the game. She taught me way more than he did, but she was just kind of like somebody cool auntie. She cut the window down and light a cigar. She would tell me what to do.
So I want to be organized. I want to be well-informed. I want to partner with others that can help me grow. I want something that's stable and consistent, you know, because if I get into these situations to where my revenue is low due to economic conditions, the economy is bad. Everybody isn't doing bad when they say on the news the economy is bad. I'm actually waiting, me personally, for liquidation, people selling their trucks, and some of those drivers that are going to be let go from the companies. That's my opportunity. That's the opportunity I'm waiting for next. So I'm not down about the economy because I felt it was over flooded anyway.
Yes. It is.
Anyone else? Anything about trucks? What? Anybody? Most of you guys drive automatics, or can anyone drive a manual? You drive, bro? Because I heard all.
I just bought a truck like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Bought the truck, 24 feet. I just started. So.
Does it have a lift gate on it?
Yeah, it got a lift gate.
Okay, you got the lift gate. You working on the load board?
I haven't started yet.
Okay, so
I just finished up my job, and I was actually working for someone else.
okay,
So
so
I saved up enough money, so I'm good with that. Congratulations.
A1 Truck Hotline Systems, A1 Truck Express Hotline. They do box truck work, and it's local, and some of them may go to Austin or something like that. But they someone you can kind of get in and just start making you a little money, see how it goes, and you'll get out there and talk to people and meet other people. And that'll be a good approach for you to take as just someone that's just getting to the business. I just wouldn't get out there and go buy me some insurance, go buy my own authority, go into all those costs without even knowing if you go even like that.
Because you have to wait, so be sure when you're ready to start, because when you get your insurance and apply for your authority, you have to wait probably 10 days before it becomes active.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm here on behalf of my brother that I thought I was gonna get in business with him, but since there's no recommendation for family to get together.
That means you know her brother.
You know what I'm saying? But with that in mind, I'm interested in opportunities around this industry, you know, living in DeSoto, close to Inland Port and all of that. Like, what do you foresee as opportunities for growth of support services around it?
Inland Port, that's becoming huge. She said dispatching, servicing. Man, you know what I really want? Asset management. Asset management is basically partnering with companies like that, what she has, going in and showing them some improvements that can be made as far as their numbers, where they can get a little bit more efficient at. And that's just me sharing knowledge and information from my experience. Now, what that can do for other people who have, we'll get to you, because I get people all the time that want to invest in the industry all the time. They just want to give me some money and say what type of returns we can give. It's asset management. So I'll be able to take on private investors' money, buy a few more trucks and hire some drivers. I ain't got nothing in it but managing their money for percentage that we agree upon. But in order to get there with people with money, I gotta have a good track record. I gotta be able to show them my numbers, what I've been doing, and also what I can do for them. So that's a good service, asset management. Some people may get it. It is something small. Would be trailer rentals, which may take a little upfront capital, you know, but you can rent trailers to people. If you have some big money, buy you some land and start a truck park.
I was gonna say too, warehousing.
That's a little expensive. You'll be competing with hedge funds. All these warehouses are getting built, purchased by hedge funds, people with big money that see what's coming.
Yeah, that's
And-
what we do
Yeah,
down in the port.
I was also gonna just add, like, doing the compliance work, you know, with the FNCSA.
compliance work.
And
Good.
then, like, and also like the drug, the drug consortium, that we have to do the drug testing. And you can also do that, you can have a service where you can like start people's authority. They pay you, money to start their authority. Like, when they're getting ready.
As my man also said, letting people ride under his authority.
Oh, yeah,
charge
yeah,
them a
these
fee.
young people.
Yeah, other owner operators. You know, so that's also a vertical within your business that you already have. Inland ports. So you remember the West Coast? This I heard from an insider, when they had a supply chain issue in California. They couldn't get the guys to work, so I talking about they gonna work 24 hours and all this kind of stuff and everything about Pacific Ocean China. Those companies that were shipping their freight from China to LA, most of them decided they're gonna start shipping it through Texas. They're not shipping it to LA. So inland port work is gonna become even more huge in Dallas-Fort Worth area. Nothing is manufactured in the country anymore. All of it comes from China. They ship it in, put it in the ports take it to the distribution warehouses that are around Dallas, and then from there, they go out all over. What I talked about my other business was getting into local inland ports, right? So my goal is to get into the inland ports, take the container from the port to the DC. Once I start doing that, develop a relationship with that DC and start handling that outbound freight. So now I'm running the whole circle from when it comes off the ship till it gets to the warehouse, then from that warehouse back out. You gotta keep moving forward. You know, because if you just settle with one mode, competition will take you out. Yes, Dawn.
something out.
I just wanted you to, help me to remember, is it the SCAC code that you apply for the port work?
The port work, I'm partnering with, now that, I don't know if for being your own independent carrier within the port. First of all, you're talking about,
The scat code is used for it's like a government identifier.
yeah, that's what I
Correct.
thought she was talking about.
That's what I'm talking
We
about.
use SCAT codes in order to determine, I not only identify specific businesses, but also,
But I believe that's what you have to apply for to get into any type of rail port, to give you that permission to enter.
just to enter the, you mean as a vendor or just as an individual?
A vendor
Okay,
to do
okay,
business.
okay.
You
Yeah.
you will need it, but it's not for everything that is at the port. Like you'll need the UIA insurance and all that. So pool,
Fleet card.
pool.
That's what I thought you were talking about, is quick card. No, but,
To have your own contract, that's what I'm saying, with the UIAA. I think you have to apply online for that code.
I would apply to just get it anyway because you can use it for government loans. And it's only, I think, like $60
Mhm.
for the application to get the scat code.
a dispatcher that I used to work with, she now runs her own transportation company in the port. Didn't have to go through that. She don't have enough trucks. Come get as many as you want. That's how I got in. Network through friends. Now, I understand you saying you just could come from,
Because I'm not a dispatcher.
and you
and I
don't, well,
have
you don't,
my own
well, I
truck.
mean, she was a dispatcher, but now she runs her own company.
Right,
And then we just kept in touch. And that's how I got into the port.
so it's networking for you.
It's network.
What is it network? They always say it's not what you know, it's
Who you know.
which is why when y'all first came in, I was like, talk. Because I mean, again, I see like you ask a question, she over here chomping at the bit to tell you, like, if y'all don't leave each other information, I think that's a problem. Because she knows some girl, y'all can help each other out. What he said, if I'm a partner with somebody, they need to have something I need, and I need to be able to offer them something. So y'all are not competitors. All y'all trying to be better, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, no offense. I mean, I know everybody probably says a few more questions, but I think we need to pause for the call, wrap this up. And y'all need to share some information. Who got their business card? We can make electronic ones if you don't. You never know. You might need somebody to run a text or camera. You know what I'm saying? Somebody here might be about their life. So are you guys okay with us? Let's pause. Any last minute questions? Go ahead and ask. But let's network. You got something you gotta say? Go on.
Do y'all have anything that you didn't have when you came here that you feel you can use?
Yes.
If you have anything, okay,
Yes.
then I did something. Then I feel like I did something.